Well, Yahoo Finance's Brad Smith, Shauna Smith, and Rick Newman spoke to former Vice President and current Republican presidential nominee Mike Pence this morning. Here's what he had to say about the looming government shutdown.
First, let me say about the government shutdown. You know, I was a House conservative leader for 12 years, and House Republicans are the last line of defense for taxpayers in Washington, D.C. So I encourage the team there and Speaker McCarthy to continue to drive hard for one more down payment on fiscal responsibility and putting our nation back on a path toward a balanced budget.
Joining us now is Steve Schmidt, political strategist and founder of the Warning newsletter, YouTube channel, and podcast. Steve, I'm going to have you put your strategist hat on here. You heard the former vice president say, look, House Republicans are the last line of defense to put on a down payment for the future. But he didn't have to deal with such a tight majority within the House specifically. How do you think Kevin McCarthy gets out of this bind?
I think that the most important thing to recognize is the degree in Mike Pence's statement is how much gaslighting is involved in that. Mike Pence was the vice president of the most profligate, biggest spending administration in American history that added more debt more quickly to America's total debt than any other administration ever. Kevin McCarthy is not a victim here. John Kennedy had an admonition in his inaugural, and it was this. He said, "To the foolish men who seek power by trying to ride the back of the tiger, be careful because you wind up inside the tiger." And that's what's happened to Kevin McCarthy. This is an act of national vandalism, an act of arson that will impose real hardship on the American people. This is not something that is coming from a mainstream. It's coming from extremists, including from Paul Gosar, that threatened to execute the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff yesterday. So this is part of the ongoing, unfolding story of an extremist movement in America that's assaulting the American government over and over and over again. That's what we're seeing.
So then, Steve, if you're a Republican presidential candidate, you're looking at this situation and wondering how to position yourself. I mean, we heard former Vice President Mike Pence putting a lot of the blame for even the situation with inflation on he wanted to end the dual mandate by the Fed. Said he would get rid of Powell and really instead focus on protecting the integrity of the dollar. If you're trying to advise a Republican candidate here, how would you advise them?
I would tell most of them to drop out of the race, particularly Mike Pence, since he's at 2% in the polls and he has 100% name identification. When the first Republican debate took place, there was a question asked, and 8 of these candidates raised their hand. And the question was, if Donald Trump is the nominee, will you support him again? Fully aware of the insurrection, the 92 criminal counts, none of these people are particularly credible as candidates. It's clear that the one who has momentum in the race is Nikki Haley. The rest have little chance. And the truth of the matter is none of them have any influence whatsoever on what's going on in the House of Representatives.